We have got some pretty wild weather going on around the country at the moment, so do please be careful if you are travelling. And we're heading into a long weekend. Now, we would hope that in Labour weekend the weather gets a little bit better. We might even take the boat out if one has a boat. Because you see, this week it is Safer Boating Week. It's back for its 12th year, helping recreational craft users stay safe on the water. And as we lead into Labour weekend, it marks the beginning of the summer boating season and reminds everyone to plan ahead and understand the risks. Now, this year's theme, or this week's theme, if you end up in the water, how prepared are you? Focusing on incidents that happen close to shore. It's not always way out in the ocean. We are a nation of boat lovers or just getting out on the briny, but on average, 18 people a year die in recreational craft incidents. Since January the 1st to the 1st of October this year, there have been 14 accidents resulting in 15 deaths. And over the past decade, more than 170 people have lost their lives in recreational craft incidents. Nicola Keen-Biggelaar is the Chief Executive of Drowning Prevention New Zealand, and she joins me now. Nicola, good afternoon.
Kia ora, Leah. Thanks for having us today.
No, lovely to talk. Safer Boating Week. I mean, to look at the weather now, you'd think, golly, who's getting out on the water? But having said that, in the weekend just gone, it was beautiful. And I saw lots of boats in Auckland out and about. It's in its 12th year, Nicola, so obviously you still need to remind boaties and recreational users to be prepared on the water.
That's absolutely right. Unfortunately, people do get into difficulty. The fatalities are preventable, and they are mostly because people are underprepared. They haven't checked the marine forecast or understood it before they've gone out. They may have life jackets on board, but they haven't put them on, and they don't have two communication devices that are waterproof. So it's a really good reminder for everyone, be prepared. You may unintentionally end up in the water, and that fun weekend is no longer fun anymore.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, the theme is if you end up in the water, how prepared are you? I see Drowning Prevention Auckland is also involved in this week and highlighted how important being able to float first. That's part of the messaging, isn't it?
That is our key message. If you end up in the water, the first thing that we're wanting people to know how to do is float. And there's 4 steps to floating. First is float, breathe, signal, survive. So you float by rolling onto your back, keeping your chin above water. You can scull with your hands to keep you floating. The second step is to breathe normally, and this is really important. So when people panic, they take on water, and that actually starts the drowning process. So you want to breathe for a good minute. That's going to enable you to calm down, to look around your surroundings, to actually make better decisions. The third is to signal for help. So you raise your arm in the air, you shout for help. And the final step is to survive by either swimming to an exit if you're confident that you can reach it, or continue to float and hope that someone can come and rescue. And ideally, a flotation and a life jacket, and in terms of boating, is the best form of flotation that you can have. And wearing it is going to give you that flotation.
Yeah, I want to get to that, Nicola, but it's interesting. People might be listening going, oh my gosh, what do you mean? I know how to float. Come on. But I looked at the stats provided by your page, and I was quite surprised that nearly a third of Kiwis admitted that they cannot swim or even float in the ocean or for more than a few minutes. And I mean, that's quite a large number I was quite surprised by that.
Well, our research actually showed that people think that they can float, and when they were tested, only 2% could float for more than 5 minutes, and a third less than 15 seconds.
Gosh.
So a skill that we think that we learnt as a kid, because many of us did when we went to swimming lessons, but as an adult, it's actually worth getting in the pool, making a bit of fun with your friends. Can you still float as an adult? It's an important skill to refresh on.
So let's talk about this attitude that some boaties have about not wearing their life jacket on their boats. Is it a mixture of it's not going to happen to me? Is it overconfidence? Or I thought too, it's summer, it's too hot, it's bulky, I look like a numpty. Like, is it all of the above? Well, I mean, what excuses have you heard in your experience?
Yeah, I think it is all of the above. It is, she'll be right, it won't happen to me. I
Yeah.
know what I'm doing. It only happens to silly people. I think there's some misconceptions about life jackets. People think that they are uncomfortable. There's a number of different options that you can get to fit the activity that you're doing.
Yeah.
Some of them actually are pretty cool. They're not, necessarily as ugly as people think. But as a point of survival, it is the one thing that's going to give you a better chance of survival, even if it just buys you time for rescue services to come and help you.
Yeah, it's not like, the life jackets on the Titanic. I've seen ones that in stores that look, I mean, pretty cool. They're actually quite thin, and come in
Yes.
different colors, and they're not the big bulky things of the past. I mean, look, they might not be super cheap, but what price do you want to put on your life or the life of the people on your boat? So you got to look at it that way. Here's something that really interested me is the stat about 70% of fatalities happen within a mile offshore, not in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean. Again, that was surprised me. And a mile, yes, okay, mile's a mile, but it's not, like I said, you've gone way out. I mean, what does that tell us?
Well, 40% of the fatalities actually occur within 400 metres.
Yes.
So what that's telling us is that the little dinghy or the paddleboard are entry-level ways of recreating on the water. You can get a dinghy off Trade Me, cheap and cheerful. Unfortunately, the fatalities that happen, often those vessels simply aren't seaworthy. They're just not seaworthy. You shouldn't be buying them. And because for some it's all that they can afford, they're then not purchasing the life jackets, the communication devices, the personal locator beacon, right? That's the whole package that you need to think about when you're going to be safely boating or recreating. So it is a real tragedy. I think those cases also, people are often on their own, unable to get help from others around them. So that's why it's really important in this week in particular, when we believe safer boating is a year-long activity actually, but this week is about highlighting these issues. People might be considering what they're going to buy for Christmas. If you are going to buy a dinghy or a paddleboard or a kayak, please add in the safety equipment as well. It's going to significantly enhance your survival and, having a great time. We want people to recreate and enjoy
of course.
our water.
So you're highlighting dinghy dangers, and it's interesting you brought it up. Like you said, someone could buy a cheap and cheerful, not cheerful, but a cheapie off Trade Me, and like you said, it's not seaworthy, really. It's not. And then do they either, like you said, they go out alone without a life jacket, or do they overload a boat? Is the dinghy? Does it go the other way as well?